Did a good job, but man, I thought,
Who's his wife? Is she local there?
no,
No?
I think she's a teacher.
Oh, stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Agenda, anything to add?
Yeah, just the budget timeline, which was handed out to the board commissioners,
Where do you want to put it?
just under budget 2023.
Okay, budget 22 timeline. Okay, I have a motion by John, second by Ben. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Hearing none, motion carried. Minutes. Benjamin?
On page 1, under number 4, for minutes, there shouldn't be an A if there's no B. That should just be part of the subheading minutes.
Oh, okay.
On Commissioner Oakneson's report, it said just put West Central Juvenile Boarding or whatever.
Or the West Central Juvenile Center.
Commissioner Nelson's reports, Lake Park Legion, wasn't really a report to put in the minutes.
Okay. Just the construction meeting then. Okay,
Okay. Then under County Administrator 2A, the finance consensus, I don't think that's really part of a budget review. So and we didn't take action on it. So I would just put in the probation and the environmental services. Then under B, I wouldn't even put that stuff in here because we didn't take action on it. It's just inconsequential for the minutes.
okay.
That's the same thing I think about number 6 and 7 under county administrator. State legislative update from AMC. You know, the minutes don't tell us anything about it. I don't think we should pay it. Put it in here. Then under the finance meetings, it says May, June, and July credit card invoices were processed. Is that different than the claims?
It was.
Right. All the time, 'cause 3 months, so that.
Oh, okay. Okay, under multi,
Maybe read included then,
yeah,
instead of processed, or just included in the claims.
Right.
Was clear.
on the bottom of page 2 of 3, multi-department digitizing and scanning project, I should have the dollar amount for the number and the number of books being recorded. Under human resources, I don't know what the DDA technical assistance was.
So DDA is the David Drown and Associates. That's what the acronym stands for. As it relates to the under human resources, that was something that Carrie had proposed as a useful tool that human resources departments use and that can access, but there's a cost to it. So she reviewed that with the board.
Here again, I don't, none of this has any action on it. Especially this item 3, social media policy and smoking policy. We didn't get any updates or information on that. Do you guys remember getting any information?
I think it was mentioned, but I heard it someplace else, but we have talked about it, I know, but I don't remember any direct.
I would just take it out of the minutes. I don't know if I had seen. Okay, under the last motion to concur with planning and zoning, I don't remember making that motion. Do you have that there?
I probably do, but I didn't look.
John, did you make it maybe?
Which one?
This one here?
What was that? Where was that?
Or
Yeah, which district was that in?
District 1.
District 1. Okay.
It just, that,
Okay.
one on it was Osage.
Which one you talking about, Ben?
Oh, the.
Oh,
last one.
the very last one was.
I may have made it if you were since if it's in your district, Larry.
Yeah, I'll check though. I can check. I'll have it.
That's not written very well, that line. I mean, I was even confused on how that any storage longer than 1 year be screened.
That's what it was though, which I thought was,
That's what zoning was in the,
yeah, that's what the planning commission had in their motion.
yeah, clear enough.
I thought it was kind of vague. I mean, 1 year, who's gonna dictate, who's gonna document the time it's there? It didn't seem to make a lot of sense to me, but.
That was, in this case, that's part of planning and zoning's requirement. So maybe, the motion was made to concur, which includes,
It did include that.
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It shouldn't probably say the motion said, but which includes. Because I didn't remember that 1 year stipulation in that motion.
It was in the minutes, I know that, but, yeah,
I'm sure that's part of planning and zoning. I
Yeah.
just don't remember that in our, in our motion.
oh, yeah, I see what you're saying, but if you're concurring, you don't always say.
Well, that's
Yeah,
what I said. It's me, which is included in the,
Yeah.
you know,
I see what you're saying, yeah.
I don't count. I just, I was like, I can't remember that. Concurring with planning and zoning, which actors.
Under 2, the informational items included in the board packet, I don't know why that's in the minutes. But bullet number 1 is not accurate, is that agreement wasn't from Spring Creek Township Attorney, that was from Stearns.
No, there was one,
No, it wasn't.
there was one, the original one was,
The original
That
one
wasn't
was in the
original.
packet, John. I had to email it. to
That's right, you
guys.
did, Ben.
Yeah.
Yeah.
the original one was from the attorney. That's what it was.
It wasn't in the packet. This says informational items including in the board packet.
It was their letterhead and their
Yeah.
signatures. It
There-
was-
There was 2 different ones in there though.
Correct.
Different
Yeah.
letters.
None of
Neither
them,
one of them.
they were both Bizarre.
They were both from the pro.
Yeah, drafted the same date on the draft as the original one.
They.
That deserves
altered
that.
the-
Right.
they altered
Yeah,
Yeah.
they just altered.
Yeah.
They went from Spring Creek Township.
Okay.
So they presented altered version, so it wasn't from Spring.
So how do you guys want to handle that? You want to, I don't even know why we would include
Just take it
what's
out.
in the packet. Just get rid of both.
Just say discussion was.
Then this says, under the 3rd bullet point, the township chose to have an attorney draw up the road agreement. That doesn't need to be in there because the attorney had already drawn up a road agreement prior to them asking the county board for a conditional use permit in the beginning. And you all had that road agreement before you made a motion to approve with the stipulation.
They hadn't handed out for, at that time. It wasn't in our packet or anything, it was handed out.
It got emailed to us before the board meeting. It was open to the packet.
Yeah,
And then it was handed out. It was,
we didn't have time to review it,
Pat emailed it to us before our board meeting.
right before.
I think the day or something.
Right before.
I don't remember.
Anyway, it doesn't need to be in there.
All right. That's number 3.
That's all I have to say.
Okay. Barry? John?
No, I don't.
Richard? No. The only thing I had was on county administrator's report under the township association meeting at, I think it was either 6:30 or 7, not 6.
Mhm.
And then on page 2, Under, not at the very top, number 8, motion second to amend purchase agreement date from April 2022 to October 2022 for sale. You can take out one of them, for sale. And number 2, I know we've been over this a few times, but it should be motion second to approve of regular claims, auditor warrants, and claims over 90 days. That's all I had. Motion by Ben,
Second.
second by Richard. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign. Hearing none, motion carried. Open forum. Nothing there? Okay. All right, reports and correspondence. Barry?
Lakeland Mental Health, can't laugh because I have my notes on it. I attend Lakeland Mental Health, doing very well financially. My building's going up. Like every other building up.
Moorhead shortage of concrete is slowing it down a little bit, but hopefully not altering the time schedule. We are very lucky. Was at the Public Works building. They're kind of prioritizing county projects with the allotment of concrete. So our projects are, being maybe altered a little, but shouldn't be any delays in the timelines of everything. Public Works buildings coming along really well. Nothing to, what was it? There was one item that had it might have had some interest, but I can't remember offhand. Anyway, the only other Larry and I had NRM. I'm sure Larry has his notes. I had mine in my packet, but the only thing of real, one of the discussions was the tram, and we're thinking that ongoing expenses and difficulty to find someone to work that, it's at a point where we'd like to start looking at getting that out of county hands. And if it's a for-profit, it has to be, we're under understanding that it has to be a lake service provider that does the crossing inspections. And if it's free service, then it can be, and you don't have to have. So it's automated and it's run by the Lake Association. If we go out to it, then it may be more economically feasible to continue this. But as it sits, some of the discussion is as we move forward, how this works and how it is, it's maybe at the end of life or nearing end of life, how this is, because it's a money losing situation, and just how we going to move forward with it is if it moves forward. So anything else under NRM that you want to touch
A
on?
lot of stuff here if you want me to go through it right now.
You're the chair, so you decide.
Oh, well, we talked about the Dave Rozo easement, that's proceeding. Discussed Bucks Mill, but now somebody sent an email, a scoop, but I couldn't get it on my,
Oh.
I couldn't download it. Can you tell me?
Yeah, the family seems to have come together and coalesced on having a meeting to bring this to a conclusion. And that was the communication that was forwarded to Nick with Fish and Wildlife, which went to Steve Skoog, which then went to the two commissioners.
Sounded like they were going to accept the terms, the
Yes.
last terms that were offered, it sounded like.
Yep, that's what they want to bring to conclusion. They're having a meeting in December to finalize that.
Okay.
They're meeting at the DNR, Nick's with DNR, so they're having a meeting on the
Right.
August, I think. No, November 10th.
November.
I thought it was December. If I'm wrong, but I thought it was December.
We sent in for our reimbursements for our costs, and I think it was around $6,000. So that's being processed. Bruce Peterson easement request is before the board. South Twin Lake access is proceeding and should come shortly, I would hope. We finished up? Okay. I met, a couple of us met with the landowner. Jim was up there, and Steve and Mitch wanting to move the access road on Southwest Juggler Lake Road. It sounds like it's doable. If it is in fact done, we'll probably have our access expanded because it's very, very small parking area there. Fall timber results, you guys might have already have that, but it was $153,000 and the aspen average price was $34.39. Staff seeking quotes for 24 seedlings. Minnesota, there's a grant available to offset the cost for seedlings and site prep and bud capping. There's no match grant. Osage Township requested cost share to update the bathroom facilities at the roadside rest park area there. I'm not sure where that's gonna go, but it was a request. And that's NRM. You have anything else, Barry? Do you have any other meetings? you want-
Well, the only thing Ben and I met after that with, about Dunton Locks and,
I'm gonna give a report.
well, we just, looking at moving forward, hopefully moving the building a little bit, turning it and moving it down the road and, hopefully, who owns the building that Pelican River uses out there?
I think they own the building, but there is some agreement with the county to put it there.
Mm,
What year was that? Must be 40 years ago. That's an old building.
Probably is.
So no, I mean, that's an old building,
Yeah.
not very well kept either. And then we were gonna get the lines, Steve said he had the lines, because the map we were looking at, the property lines weren't very accurate. We'd like to see where those property lines are.
Is it there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Chair,
Um,
just
go
a
ahead.
good, you had inquired about Bucks Mill. So the family is meeting with Nick, the fishery gentleman, on December 10th at the DNR office in Shakopee.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, environmental discussion, you guys probably got the minutes, but I'm gonna just touch on some high spots here. Discussion on recycling. Otter Tail and Minn Kota actually is interested in bringing us recyclables. Other counties also may be interested. Todd was gonna do something down there, but they decided not to, so we could be getting all of Prairie Lakes Municipal Solid Waste County recyclables here if we choose, if the board in the future chooses to go that direction. Better Futures is getting a lot of reuse material, and they may need to find another spot because it's filling up that little behind the pay station. That area there is full. I think Steve's going to talk with the DAC because in Hubbard County, the DAC over there has a store, and they sell reuse material there. I've had some staffing discussions that'll be coming forward. There was the on-demand water heater went out there and it wasn't sized properly in the first place. And now the cost to replace that is over $15,000 because it has to have so many gallons of flow rate and so many gallons. And so the option is to enclose maybe an area above would be a lot cheaper and just put in tank hot water heaters. And I would think that's the way they should go. Prairie Lakes Municipal Solid Waste plant is running well. Becker County has a 542 ton surplus. Clay has a 973 ton deficit. It's because they're having troubles. They can't find a Class A driver. They don't have any drivers to haul them, the waste to Prairie Lakes Municipal Solid Waste. And if you remember, the person that they appointed to take their solid waste director used to be their driver. But he has health issues, so he can't drive, so they just can't get anybody to haul.
Who drives it to Holly?
Who drives it to Holly?
Yeah.
You mean to Holly?
Well-
Oh, that transfer station there?
Well,
Or the landfill?
yeah.
Well, local haulers, I suppose, haul direct there, don't you think? I'm guessing, but, oh, they have a transfer station in Moorhead, though. Yeah, I'm just telling you what they told me.
Okay. Seems quite right.
Yeah, but they do want to get, I mean, they're paying for that garbage, so they want to deliver it. We have a $1.8 million cash balance. The bond payment is due November 1st. Had a lot of discussion on dental insurance, and they went with MetLife. Single premium is $28, family is $90. And no one is voluntarily doing PFAP testing. The MPCA has been requiring it, but they didn't appropriate any money in the legislation because they said they were going to do that. So at this point, nobody's offering or volunteering. And if they are, they're not sharing the results. EDA reviewed and approved the paying of the bills and accepted the financial report. Public housing is full. Merle housing update. The house on 21 is in bad shape. The one out by the gravel pit there. So the consideration to sell that home. Reviewed the rental payment standards. Well, we will have a public housing, our annual public hearing for public housing, which is it's a 5-year plan, but we have an annual hearing. It's a joke we've talked about before. Had an update on childcare from Tammy Anderson. Eckerman grant request was reduced from 20,000 to 15,000. And Eric Roder's, they're setting up a foundation to help support childcare. And I should have brought that little booklet because it was a pretty nice little booklet. Maybe we can get some out to the commissioners if they're interested. That's all I had on that. Pat, you did update the EDA board on the position.
Yes, I did.
You want to say anything about that? Or?
Only that I was going to bring it as part of my report. Certainly, we have an EDA position that the board when the previous employee exited to fill. We reviewed two concepts, one an economic development manager, an economic development specialist, really the equivalent to what the coordinator position was. The EDA committee board supports the economic development specialist position. And right now we're at the point of HR is working with the band and grade committee. But I wanted to bring it as part of my report because I know Commissioner Nelson had responded on whether the board, oh, cute, whether the board had approved that or not. And what we approved is to is to move forward with that review process. And so that's where we're at right now.
Okay. Barry and I had highway, there was a speed study request for 4 and 6, and I added 56 to it. That's quite a process. Did they say about a 3-year process, Barry?
Yeah.
We had a request to repair the Mod Lake outlet, maintenance agreements with the city for Washington Avenue.
That's a
I don't know if
county
you wanna go
ditch.
into-
That's a county ditch, the Maud Lake
Is
outlet.
that what it is? Yeah. And then there was an agreement with the city for Washington Avenue, and I don't know if we want to go into detail, but we talked about that. And then the project updates, Westlake Drive. Sheriff's Committee, some of the stuff is before us, but Hubbard and Wadena County wants Becker to join them in their SWAT team. Todd will get costs. It's an 8-hour training per month. They want 4 deputies and 2 from the Detroit Lakes PD. So that's the ongoing discussion. Had a discussion for data requests, and there was a request for the people that do the adult education at jail are requesting an increase in their fees that they charge the jail. And then we had ARPA fund request, and there's some low hanging fruit here that we're probably going to be looking at. It's a drone, emergency management trailer, cleaning machine for the jail, and I guess portable radios, that's already done. I think that's about it, huh? That's all I had. Which is plenty. Next, Richard.
Nothing.
Nothing for Richard. Dan.
Okay, on the 18th, the Heartland Trail met. Jim Olson provided us with an update that the design work is complete for the portion of trail from the bridge to 87. The price estimate is based off the Pelican to Perm bids, and our estimate is $785,000, and we could add a 15% contingency to that. We're having a bit of trouble getting the easement around the wetland there because the deed holder wanted to benefit from the buyout that he sold on contract for deed, but we're gonna pay $40,000 to the current owner, and it will get immediately written to the holder of the deed. So the contract for deed will get paid off sooner. Owner is at Ease Dock and Lift. We've been paying the design bills as we go from money appropriated from legislative sessions in the teens. And it's cost about $100,000 for the design work. We have $863,000 of existing funding that needs a legislative change in language. Right now, the bill didn't say that we could spend it on construction. So all we can do is design work and acquisition with it. So we're just, otherwise we bid out that project this winter. We're just stuck.
Just to add that, and I think there's roughly about 900,000 that can be used. There's some leftovers and so forth, but that 785 is not really. Budget management won't allow us to spend it. It didn't have construction in the bonding bill.
They had it changed in the bonding bill that didn't go through this last year. So now we'll have to work with our new legislators to fix that. And until that gets done, which presumably is in July, we're just dead in the water on finishing that. That money doesn't expire until December 31st of 2024, though. We talked about submitting a similar bonding request to the 2022 request, in which we teamed up with Clay County, Hubbard County, and asked for $4.2 million to continue the design work, acquisition, and construction. We'll meet again in December and hope to invite new legislators elect to the meeting. On the 19th, the highway tour met. Most of you were there. Museum Building Committee met on the 20th. there were fewer subs there and the architect and project manager were missing. But the supervisor was there, Ace Electric and Mission Mechanical were there, Becky and Brad Green. I'm gonna just skip this because since then we've met again, give you an update on where we're at. Township supervisors meeting went well. It was kind of sparsely attended because of the nice weather. But there were no big concerns or questions and our staff did a nice job. And the 21st AMC district met. There's gonna be a 2.5 to 7% due increase for the counties for AMC. And I didn't quite understand the formula that it would range so much. I think they're trying to get counties up to a certain level. We talked a little bit about legislative priorities and found out that Minnesota has the 5th highest probation population in the country, but Minnesota is dead last when it comes to funding probation. Mike Slavic, who's running for second vice president, was there and spoke a little bit. He's running for, Eric Erdman had an AMC report and focused on how they're adjusting positions for people's strengths within the organization for this upcoming legislative season. We heard all about county reports and our levy increase is really par for the course compared to many of the neighboring counties. There was also some talk about local assistance and tribal consistency funding and how there's the baseline of 50,000 unless a county gets no funding at all, like Wadena County. I think the payment formula is somehow tied similar to the PILT payments that we get. It's based on how much tax forfeit land we have. On the 24th, DAC met and discussed our financial statement and how it should be reported to the board and why our 2021 audit is not done yet. We approved the program calendar for the 2023 year and talked about the VRS Employment Services, which really had a slow start, but a good month in October. We're applying for the employee retention credit through the federal government and talked about some things that need to be maintained on the property. The negotiations committee will start meeting to kick off negotiations. That would have been last week, and we're waiting to get our health insurance renewal rates. In August, we were just $9,000 in the black year to date. Now it looks like we're about 30,000 in the black. We're meeting bi-month. We were meeting bi-monthly, but we switched back to every month because we had missed a couple dates and hadn't been able to meet since April. And we welcomed a new board member, Lynn Drews, from the funeral homes in town onto the board, and now our board is fully staffed. And I did give Steve Marlene's information. I did point out Hubbard has more high-functioning, non-complex needs. Yeah.
So what are they doing over there now, Ben? What do they do there?
It's more of a day service program, and then we do support employment out in the community. We don't do any piecemeal
Nothing
or
about-
sub-minimum wage work. That's all done here. On the 25th, Barry covered Dutton Locks. And let's see, we got feedback. We're gonna keep a male and a female restroom attached to the shelter. We'd still like to do a vault toilet, but it'll just depend on the cost. And I think we're talking about obtaining a land disturbance permit from the DNR. Architectural services from M-State. And Barry talked about that Pelican River building. And then on the 27th, Museum Building Committee met, and generally, it seemed like they were now working very hard to finish up. We have a priority list from the DL building inspector in order to gain access to our basement for material storage. We want to move out of the airport closed storage building as soon as possible. Sprinklers need to be functional, exits need to be cleared and functional, including grading work onto the west side of the building. The elevator pump needs to get changed and inspected. They had it in, but there was something not quite right with that. And then we need emergency lighting and an electrical inspection. And we're supposed to have that all done by in a week or so. Stelter, who has the contract for hanging and taping and painting, he had 6 people taping on the day of the meeting, and they were moving fast, and he wanted to get 11 people there in the coming days. That was really a big holdup. So that was, good to get them on. Ace Electric put in the sump pump controls and floats in. Herzog did some more work on the roof. And we're going to close up the second story access that we get lifts in and out of on the northwest side of the building on floor 2. And then
turns out Haug's gonna run out of time to get our lot done, obviously, so they're gonna try to take the building down on the 5th. This was the latest update. And then backfill that building so that you could have temporary parking, and then to do the grading work on the north and west side of the building and put in that line from the sump pump into the storm sewer. That's all supposed to happen here in November, and hopefully we'll get that done, and then we'll have to deal with it next year. That is all my reports.
John?
When do they meet this week?
It'd be Thursday at 1:30.
Ben covered the Heartland Trail. I had West Central Juvenile Center. The facility was inspected by the DOC and Department of Education, and it was deemed a model agency, so they had good reviews from both departments there. The average member cost per bed comes out to about $177, while all beds for non-members average 336. We did vote to increase non-member rates from 320 to 350. And in comparison, Hennepin County and Ramsey County are $1,000 per bed per day. Very high. So we figured at 350 for non-members, we still probably getting some other cities and stuff. The only other one I had was Pelican River Watershed is, we're gonna be updated today on the one Otter Tail 1 watershed 1 plan. And then the rest was more normal board updates and so forth. So that's all I had.
Appointments, any appointments? Are you working on your,
I'm still working on it.
the person that you suggested before, when we talked about that, was that not working?
No, he never got back to me.
Okay.
He said, I'll get back to you.
Just curious.
So I'm gonna contact one more.
I might know somebody that might do it. I'll check on it.
Send me his name or.
County Administrator.
So we were just reviewing contracts, commissioners. We have one civil commitment contract with the Kitzman Law Firm, Stuart Kitzman, that provides that. That will expire at the end of 2022. I guess the direction I'm looking for is either permission to reach out and extend that contract, continue negotiation, or go out for quotes for professional services relating to civil commitment.
Extend it if you can.
Wow.
Yeah, and I've been in concert with the county attorney. He agrees with that approach, but I wanted to get your input on it. And the other contract that's outstanding is we have 3 CHIPS attorneys. Beth Walker and Josh Hagan go through 2023. Timothy Dodd's contract expired in 2021, which came to my attention. So we would like to reach out to him and see if he wants to continue in that capacity.
I thought he quit doing it.
He may have. Yeah, my understanding is he may have, but I don't have any background information, at least with the people I spoke to, but I thought I would at least make the effort to reach out. The 2 CHIPS attorneys that we have seem to be functioning fine, getting the work done. There's no concern from our county attorney either on that, but I wanted to bring it before the board to see your thoughts on it.
What are the thoughts? I don't know.
Yeah,
What's the question?
Well, whether it is, do we want to stay with 2 CHIPS attorneys through 2023 instead of having 3? Or would you want to go out for quotes for a 3rd CHIPS attorney?
Well, I think you got to find out what the individual's
It-
participation has been. in it.
Exactly, yeah.
but I think we still pay them.
Yeah, we're paying them.
The contract's expired, so I don't believe we are still paying him, but in the end, that just came to my attention that was an expired contract. The others are, like I said, one is expiring, the civil commitment is expiring in 2022. So I'm just looking for some feedback on whether 3 CHIPS attorneys is needed or do we just survive with 2? It seems to be working with 2, and but again, it's your call.
Well, again, you have to find out if that's a fact.
Yeah, just brought to my
And
attention.
ask the county attorney what his thoughts are.
Moving on, so thank you for your thoughts on that. Moving on, we have not done any type of employee recognition. It's built into our policy. I'm wondering if the board would be open to the idea of the staff putting together a proposal for you to consider on November 15th for a employee recognition event that would take place on the last county board meeting in December 20th. I think in the past, historically, you guys have done some kind of, I think it's been labeled Christmas tea. And our thinking is an event that would recognize people's years of service, and have some type of modest event and some food and those kind of things. And that's typically what we see in other counties, but I wanted to get your thought before we put any resources into this, is the concept of submitting a proposal to you for the 15th for consideration. Would the board be willing to do that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We will continue with that. Thank you for that. The digital project that was approved for the county recorder's office, I just met with ISC yesterday. We did just receive the contract from them. We'll be sending that to the county attorney. It has been sent to the county attorney for review. It'll be brought to the board on November 15th for consideration. Union negotiations, we are scheduling meetings here in November with all our bargaining units. We still have a couple bargaining units that have not sent invites to us. By statute, they must do that. The wage study has been completed per the agreement we had with the bargaining units. We're not sharing that wage study with anyone. It's considered confidential per statute, but we may review it during the union negotiations. So that is where that is at. I think the only other thing that I wanted to get some feedback from the board on is, well, I guess we could segue because I've got budgets. I've got a line item. We'll just move into budgets, Chair, unless there are any questions of the board. Budgets. You've got a timeline in front of you. I did add the November 29th Finance Committee meeting. I think it was agreed that the board would allow the Finance Committee to review costs, expenses, things like that. So that is before you. We also might do some budget review during that time. At yesterday's Finance Committee, we did ask Soil and Water to come in and review their budget. They're asking for a 5% increase in their budget, and they went through detail on that. We have not provided an opportunity for any of the outside agencies to come in because historically, as I understand, we don't do that, but we do have time to do that if the board is interested, and certainly any other department. What we have scheduled for November 15th is the county attorney's office will be coming in, and the county auditor treasurer. Both of them are counties, departments that have expressed an interest in adding additional personnel. So those will be on the docket for November 15th. And then, so when we look at the dates here, we've, for meetings, we have on November 15th, we have December 13th. And of course, we're certifying the budget on December 20th. And again, we have a T&T hearing on the 15th. So I'll be looking for any feedback from the board, any other departments that you would like us to bring before you. We are bringing some of the outside agencies into the Finance Committee. But again, I want to make sure we're conscious of the time of the board and what you're looking for.
Well, has anything, Mr. Chair, has anything changed on our budgets?
The levy has gone down slightly because the insurance costs have been reduced.
That is the only
Yep,
change?
yes.
Okay, because I would like in the reports to find out, any moving parts that are affecting our overall levy and any recommendations.
Right. Yeah, and that would be something we would bring at future board meetings.
Well,
think-
we've only got, 2 left.
Right. But nothing right now has changed except for the reduction in the cost for insurance.
So any other departments you guys want to review?
Well, as far as we set the maximum, there hasn't been any changes. I know, we budgeted for that maintenance position and Mary's had a position in there and stuff,
So
so,
it's attorney and Mary that
Yeah.
have the position.
Correct. Yeah.
and the maintenance.
Is there
And-
anything
and
we can do?
Yep. And if, like I said, if the board decides to,
A whole new position.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. we've budgeted for all those items. So at the end of the day, if the board decides to reduce or change or when to bring those positions on board, they don't need to be brought on January 1st. It would certainly change the budget, modify the levy.
Other than that, when we did the work session, I had sat down with the accountants and had some ideas if we wanted to get our budget to 5%, which is easier now because of the health insurance savings.
Mhm.
I haven't got any updates on that. I know it would be very easy to do. There was a couple line items that we could basically get there, but. So we haven't had that conversation. I don't know when the board as
You
well.
want to get those to me? Give me those line items.
Maybe you could swing by the.
Yeah, I'll do that.
office.
Yeah. Not today, though. I
Yeah.
gotta, I gotta find.
That's it with budgets.
Just Pat, in October 13th claims, Tim Dodds is on here for $3,000.
There, thank you. Yep, yep.
We're
So
still paying up
Yep.
to October.
thank you for that. And then just moving on to ARPA, can you bring that up? So we again, every other board meeting, we like to just bring a summary before the board and on where new requests have been brought up. If you see anything in the green, these are things the board has approved and that we're moving on. As you can see, the human services, I think Commissioner Grimsley brought that at a previous board meeting. There were a number of, well, we're not at that yet. Excuse me. That'll be further down. But the boiler system is complete for human services. Civics agenda software is in process. We've got a couple more bugs that we're working on, but it's moving forward. The new roof is also coming to a conclusion. Again, all those items have been approved by the board. Just continuing on, election expense, digitizing records for the county recorder has been done. We've split that now because you've approved it for the county recorder. That's the 235-247. Outstanding and in orange is the digitizing records for planning and zoning and assessor. We've also added an item for digitizing records, human services, and we're working with the human services department on that to understand the volume and try to dial in the cost. Recorder shelving, courthouse updates, IT storage have all been approved and been implemented by the board. Human services building. So these are the items that the Human Services Committee reviewed and approved from an ARPA standpoint. I just listed the amount. Commissioner Grimsley had brought it up to the board about moving on these. Water fountain replacement, interview review update, restroom on 4th floor, building exterior, new agency sign, additional fleet vehicle, additional docking stations, and then morale boosting activities. And we're working with department and facilities is working with prioritizing those. County attorney is still outstanding, but the one that we do have some data now is the county attorney comfort dog. That was the request that the county brought up. They had put together a budget. The annual cost for that will be about $2,500 a year. And so we do have numbers on that now, and this would be a dog that would be taken care of by one of the members of the county attorney's office, but will be used in assisting victims with providing a level of comfort so they can actively, communicate with the attorney and be in a comfortable spot. And it's fairly common now that you're seeing this in county attorney's offices. We couldn't find a grant out there, so it would just be a straight ARPA cost. And we have to keep in mind there will be an annual cost too once and if the dog does come on board. We've got a list of county sheriff items that came through the sheriff committee here. The sheriff is here, and so to answer any questions on that, one is purchased 4 drones, which each drone being in the sergeant squad. There is one drone that the sheriff's office has. Unfortunately, it's a difficult thing to put together, and then it does work, but these would be ready to go in the trunk of the sergeant's vehicle and be ready to go to be sent out. And the sheriff brought up some ideas of having infrared for wood searches and things like that. So county sheriff also through the committee looking at an emergency management trailer, a cleaning machine for the jail, and this is to clean cells that have been dirtied up by inmates. Another drone that would be a central drone that would be located in the sheriff's office, SWAT equipment that the board chair had mentioned, and then portable radios. We have to keep in mind that the portable radios are something that were budgeted for this year. But if the board were to consider using ARPA funds, that would free up some money that is in the public safety fund. The county sheriff's also has put out a request to use ARPA funds for a command post and then also for assistance with the impound building. So those were new items. I think the final items that the board has already approved at the end here, again, water fountain upgrades, snow removal equipment. That equipment has been ordered, the air intake system, which has been complete. And then, of course, the child care min CCC were already approved by the board. That's a summary that we have so far. And I don't know if the sheriff, you have anything to offer. Those items were new that we put on there. Is there anything you would like to talk about? With your permission.
Sure. Thank you, Tom.
Where are we at with the design of that impound building?
I don't know. Haven't heard anything on that.
You still considering use or renting out space to DNR? Think that's a good idea. Just off the cuff. Can you charge enough for that buildings? I mean, does the revenue pay for the building costs? I mean, building costs so high now, it's,
Well, I imagine it'll be based on the square footage cost. Whatever the rate is, that I imagine they only
Is that
pay
our-
so much, but
is that our room for growth then? Is that why we're thinking about renting out to them? Is that our growth? I mean, for more space at some point? Then makes some sense then.
You gonna follow up with Foltz? Because the last time we met out there, he was gonna make those changes and.
I will go.
Yeah, follow up with Mike out there and see what.
you have one more item under 4.
Yes, on page 5 of your packet, there is a request from the tribal government unit for the county board to sign a letter supporting the White Earth Nation's Greater Minnesota Recycling and Composting Grant application. And this would certainly be a compliment in my communication with Steve Scoot, our land use director on these containers. Will certainly assist in bringing single source work to our facility. So it's a compliment to what we have here. And so staff is supportive of the county endorsing the chair to sign this letter of support.
Wishes of the board. Ben,
Supported.
we have a motion.
So moved.
Yeah, motion by Ben, second by John. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Hearing none, motion carried. Finance, are you done? Pat, I'm sorry. Finance, Mary.
Morning.
Morning.
The first item I have is requesting a motion to approve regular claims, auditor warrants over 90 days and additional issues.
Move to approve.
Motion by John,
Second.
second by Ben.
2 meetings.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Hearing none, motion carried.
The second item I have are 3 tobacco license renewals. Wildflower Golf Course in Lake Eunice, Toad Lake Store in Toad Lake, and Sunlight Bar and Grill in Detroit Townships.
Move to approve.
Motion by John,
Second.
second by Richard. Any discussions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Hearing none, motion carried.
The third item I have is Resolution 11-22-1A, a full-time DMV license clerk due to a resignation.
Motion to approve 1A.
Motion by Barry,
Second.
second by Ben. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Hearing none, motion carried.
The next item I have is Resolution 11-1-1B. Oh, that should be 22-1B. Private non-exclusive easement across tax forfeited land to provide access to private property for Bruce and Dolores Pearson Trust.
1B.
Motion by John,
Second.
second by Barry. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Hearing none, motion carried.
And the final thing I have is have a grant application, round 2. Round 1, we received $26,000. We use that to buy the know before election security email program. This is phase 2. There was money left in the first round of grants. We applied at the, or got approval at the last meeting to apply. We've been awarded 4286.94 with no local match required. So this is to approve that grant.
Move to approve.
Motion by John,
Second,
second by Barry. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Hearing none, motion carried.
Thank you.
Human Services. Morning.
Morning.
So today are the
Move to accept.
Motion by Ben,
Second.
second by Richard. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Hearing none, motion carried.
second item is our claims for the.
Move to approve.
Motion by Ben,
Second.
second by Richard. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Hearing none, motion carried. Easy day?
Yep.
Thank you. We're ahead of schedule for a change.
Denise, is there any,
There.
I thought I read something about, oh, you're way ahead, so.
I know, I'm just kidding.
Your, the flu shots, I mean, they're available now for employees and fair. And I don't even know, when you do get a booster COVID shot, do you have to bring in your old stuff, your old immunization stuff or what? Okay. Okay. I don't know if I even find mine anymore. Seems like so long ago.
You getting forgetful?
Yeah, I am. My wife has it somewhere. She keeps track of me.
Mine's easy to keep track of.
But you get sick from
Hmm?
them. You get sick from those.
I don't take that stuff.
Huh?
I don't take that stuff.
The application I got last year, which started for taxes payable. Yeah, for 2020 taxes.
Can you expound on?
Just got the wrong start here.
Okay,
Move to approve.
motion by Ben,
Second.
second by Richard. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Both same sign, hearing none, motion carried. Had the local assessor visit me yesterday. Yeah, Lisa Marshall.
Yeah, she has a few questions usually.
Did well, though. She explained everything, and not that I wanted to hear it, but what could I do about it? Yeah, thank you. Values are up. That's just the way it is.
Your value go down, you said?
No, up.
Yes.
Oh, up. Not as bad as I really thought it would, maybe, but. Human resources?
Coming in right now.
Okay. Morning. Yeah, we're ahead.
Oh, you're.
We're ahead. Yeah.
All right, I just have a very short list here. Just wanted to give some feedback with regards to our benefits and wellness fair. We estimated that we had a roughly 200 participants.
200.
So we had a really good turnout, and I think people were able to get a lot of information with regards to their benefits. And I think that was helpful. The feedback we got was quite positive. I also, in your packet, you should have some, a list of compiled suggestions that we were able to get from employees. We just really left it generic and allowed them to provide anonymous feedback with regards to any suggestions that they would have for Becker County. So we've looked at that list and we will look at incorporating that next year with the hopes of or planning to do a repeat of the benefits fair again. Incorporating that into a future event. Through that fair as well, there was about 40 flu vaccines that were provided to employees. She was here just for a short amount of time. Again, in reference to some of the suggestions, some employees were asking about family members and expanding that. And again, we'll look at that to see if that's would be beneficial for employees. With regards to the benefits and wellness fair as well, we also conducted breakout sessions where employees had the option to go to their choice of breakout sessions with each of the benefits vendors. And those were well attended and full. So again, looking at future to repeat some of those. And we took that specifically, and how we did those breakout sessions was based upon an employee survey that we sent out where the interest was, and structured those breakout sessions accordingly to what people were interested in. And so we initially capped it at due to space and allowing, so the groups would have the options to ask questions. We initially did cap that at 20, but then we ended up having to open that and expand and find space. And so all of them were well attended and pretty much full. Again, good feedback from those breakout sessions as well. We're continuing to do exit interviews with employees, and my hope is by the end of the year, beginning of 2023, we will be analyzing that data and looking at the trends, and then I will bring that back before the board for a review so we can get a good understanding as to, as people are exiting, reasons why, and compiling that information. And hopefully that'll be helpful for us going forward in planning for retention for employees as we hire. I did bring yesterday before the finance committee leadership training that I was recommending for department heads as well as any of the leaders or lead workers within the departments. And I think after I asked department heads for a head count, it was roughly about 43 people, which then would encompass running 3 different groups for leadership training. It didn't have the final cost of that yesterday before the finance group, so I will, there were also some suggestions from the finance committee as well as doing some benchmarking of other counties that have done leadership training, as well as whether or not there's other additional vendors out there that maybe could be more cost effective to provide the leadership training to our leaders within the county. And I think that's all I have.
Okay, any questions?
With that leadership training, is that better on-site? I mean, that's on-site when we were talking now, but is it better to do on-site, bring someone here, or is it better to go off-site?
You know,
Mix, maybe?
Yep. When I looked at the training option, really where I had started this journey, if you will, looking for resources, I really started with our EAP organization because they did organizational training. So how the original design that I had done was it would be quarterly training for the leaders, 3 separate groups, because you want to cap out at about 15, 16. Plus you also want to separate department heads from supervisors, so you don't have supervisor employee in the same group. On site, to answer your question. And then also then it would be give the option for those participating in those trainings quarterly to also be active participants and have the options to bring, you know, real life scenarios and get feedback from the group as well. So that's really what I was hoping.
We had an on-site one years ago.
Yeah.
That they really enjoyed and they really thought was valuable, but I don't recall. It's been
Long time.
quite.
I was asking for a timeline and I don't think anybody was able to give
It
me,
was,
yeah, a long time.
I'd say 6 years maybe.
Okay.
Oh, golly, it seems longer than that. But
Yeah, it's longer. I don't think it's been 7.
I don't think so. I think it was our first term there.
No,
Right,
this one
Bert?
was later.
Was it?
There, we had some then too, but
Oh.
this one was, but
I remember 1 years ago, we had offsite just in meeting room away from here. There's supervisors, and human services, and all other supervisors.
In town, though?
Yeah,
Like-
yeah,
Oh,
just
okay.
they rented out a Best Western, I think,
Oh, okay.
meeting room there.
Yeah, and I think what research would say is that, you know, the best delivery option for adults is to give them the information, have them be able to give real life scenarios and then be able to get feedback on those and how to then implement, you know, the things that they're learning versus, you know, some of those development types of trainings where you just go to the training, you hear the information, but it can be difficult to implement that, especially if they're new ways of doing things. So that's what I'm hoping for.
another question, separate from that. the open enrollment now, is that just, do you want commissioners to do that? To go online and try to?
Yes.
Do you have a link that you can put on that? Because
Yeah, I've sent a link, but I can certainly
we,
send it to you.
we don't have the internet
Okay.
capacity that employees would. So
Yep. Yep, you can certainly go through and get on the Benefits Connect link, but I can certainly send that to you if you'd like.
Okay.
I asked Carrie for it yesterday because I didn't have it and she sent me the website for. Haven't done it yet, but
Okay.
Yeah, it's hard.
For a few years now, haven't we? Online.
yeah, you can do it on, but now it's at different,
Yeah.
benefits.
Yeah, and it's all went to electronic with the hopes that we don't have to manually enter very many to those benefits vendors, and it goes, the electronic version of it from our Benefits Connect.
Yeah, I think I did it electronically last year.
Yeah, I think some of them did and some of them didn't, but we're hoping to get all electronically.
Chair, just a quick question. And maybe you've said it, but we have estimated a number of people that attended the benefits fair. What was that estimate?
200.
Did you say that?
I did.
Very
I
good.
did,
Okay.
200.
And we really just based that on, well, maybe just to underline why we think it was 200, because we really didn't count people as they were walking.
Yeah, it was difficult. It would have been difficult to count people, obviously, because we had people in this space where the vendors were and, in breakout sessions, et cetera. So we weren't able to get a specific head count. We didn't have people sign in. So what it appeared to be the best count is to take the number of, public health handed out the cloth bags for the individuals that came through here to collect information from vendors. And we took that and just rounded it up. And so it was roughly 200 bags that were given out.
Well, if we had,
A little bit lower, a little bit higher. But
yeah, but if you have people like Jerry Schramm, you'd have to count
We
those.
just gotta-
Jerry Schramm would have taken 2, 3, 4 of them.
I did ask the question if people took multiple bags, and I got the answer was no.
Fill it with pens. Jerry, I hope you're listening too. Free ice cream.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Kim?
Good morning, Commissioners. Highway's first item for your consideration is a agreement for the Highland Drive construction project. The agreement is between the county, the city, and the township. Essentially spells out the roles and obligations of each party. As you know, the project's under construction. It's suspended for this year. It's all paved and it's got a blacktop surface on it now, but we'll be finishing that project next year with the final lift of pavement and any further restorations of driveways and things. But as far as construction costs and engineering costs, those are being split between the county and the city based on a 60-40% split. We are taking the 60% share based on frontage of the township, and the county is paying for their 40% share based on their frontage. In exchange, the township did receive a $1.25 million grant that's being applied totally towards this project, and then the rest of those expenses are picked up by then city and county. At the end of the project, then there will be essentially a road swap where we will take over Highland Drive and maintain that. And then we will be giving 141, County 141, which is just north of 34 from Highland Drive back to the township through a process of revocation and follows the state statutes. We have turned back roads for other townships before, so it's a process we just go through. So is there any questions on that?
Motion to approve 1C.
Second.
Motion by Barry, second by John. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Both same sign, hearing none, motion carried.
And on that similar route, I don't think we reported, we redid an agreement for the city and.
Well, I did mention it, but I didn't go into the numbers.
It was still a very good deal. for
Very
us.
good deal for the.
Good partnership with the city.
Increase the cost a little.
Yeah.
They're pretty old.
Up to 8.
1995.
Well, we got by pretty good.
I'd say.
Next item, we have a couple pieces of equipment we would like to get authorization to sell. We have a skid steer loader in the highway department. We just received a new one, its replacement. So we're looking to sell that one. And then we also have a 2005 Dodge half-ton pickup that we would like to sell. We sell these online. Our particular vendor we choose is Auction Block out of Audubon, Minnesota. We've had good success with them. And just looking for a motion to allow that to happen.
Mr. Chair, I will make a motion to authorize the sale at auction block of these two items, as is sale.
Motion by Barry, second by John. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Post same sign. Hearing none, motion carried.
Just so reference, we did review the workability of these and just soon move them off down the road for long term.
Had a conversation with a gentleman this morning as I was coming into the courthouse on Westlake Drive in his driveway. I'm sure you maybe heard about it or you will be hearing about it.
Yep, no, we're working through that.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Yep.
The finance minutes had leadership training in here,
Mhm.
and then there's something in the packet. Are you gonna take action on that at another board meeting?
No, she's gonna do some more research and get some different vendors and get some different costs because it was quite expensive. It was
Got it, okay.
$6,700.
Yeah, I see
That
that.
was just for one. And then three-
One person.
Well, one session.
For
One group,
15
one
staff, yeah,
Yeah.
very good.
Yeah, and those costs are actually rising a little bit more, so that's the reason it's,
Okay.
we think it's gonna be higher than 67.
Good morning. Mr. Chair, members
Who
of
was the little trooper you had in here?
well, he has a sheriff badge, so
Is he an employee?
he's my newest, but he wants to be sheriff. So, yeah, he got the outfit just in time for Halloween yesterday and didn't get a chance to get a picture with me, so they came this morning, but Dad works next door.
Oh,
I have three items today. The first item, I'm looking for consideration to approve or consideration for approval for the 2023 Federal Boating Safety Equipment Grant. This is a grant we put in for every year for equipment, fully funded grant. We will be putting in for the same items we did last year. Two of the items that we did not get last year. One is a boat to help with our dive team, and then the second being a combination Helix 12 and 8 and 12 for it's a sonar combination, which we've been putting in again for the last 3 years, but because of back orders, we haven't been able to get that.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve to apply for the federal boating safety grant.
motion by Barry, second by John. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Hearing none, motion carried.
Item number 2 is just for discussion. We have a surplus of overhead lights. We'd like to give away to other first responder agencies in the county, fire departments, rescue squads. Just looking for approval to basically just give them to whoever needs it.
Would you classify this as kind of the overhead lighting kind of rescue or equipment type? Is it all that? I mean,
Yes.
just.
Yep.
So I'll make a motion to authorize the sheriff to dispose of all excess rescue equipment to other public agencies.
Second.
The very second by John. Is that sufficient or do you want
Any
all
more?
surplus equipment? I think we're talking about something else that,
Well, mainly lights. There's different combinations of lights overhead and we have some individual also. So
that's good.
I think
Which
surplus
includes, all-
equipment.
which includes any lighting.
Yeah.
I have a motion by Barry, second by John. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Hearing none, motion carried.
Sorry, that's the cost analysis for the communications officer. And item number 3, resolution 11/22/1E, It's a request for a full-time communications officer due to a vacancy.
Motion to approve 1E.
Second.
Motion by Barry, second by John. Any discussion?
Just a note, down in our district AMC, county reports, every county was having issues with filling dispatchers and correction officers, so we're not alone.
Yeah.
But I think we're probably doing better than a lot of them. So.
Yeah, I think
A lot of them have a lot of vacancies, so.
I am fortunate for that. Yeah, we are on the upswing with that too, so.
Is there a reason there's quite a difference in cost from 2022 budget to 23 budget?
I know in the past, we hired the budget ones in 23 when it was projected to be the highest.
Is that what we're doing?
That's what our HR.
This, yeah, this would be a step, the highest
New
step.
budget was
Okay,
yeah.
all right,
non-staff.
all right. We have a motion by Barry, second by John. Any discussion? All those
Just
in
to,
favor?
just to point out that it could come in lower
Lower
than the
than that,
23
yeah.
budget. It's not necessarily gonna, that's the max.
That's correct.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Hearing none, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. So on water. Sure. Oh, sure.
I just had to say something, sure.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, Chair.
Good morning.
Morning.
Morning, Commissioners, staff. Introduce you to Don Bayumpa. He's the planning coordinator with the East Otter Tail Soil and Water Conservation District in Perham. And so he's been leading us in the planning process with the Otter Tail River Watershed Plan. And we're here today to present the final draft plan that's out for review now to the board for consideration.
Thank you, Brian. And again, good morning, commissioners and staff. As Brian said, I am the watershed coordinator for Otter Tail County and Wadena County. So those of you who, I've had a chance to work with John on the policy committee and Barry on the Buffalo Red, so it's good to see you. As Brian said, we are wrapping things up with the Otter Tail River Watershed 1W1P, and I'm not sure who's in charge of the slides there. If we want to advance, there we go. So just a quick overview of the Otter Tail River watershed. It is actually 1,725 square miles in size. And about 67% of it is located in Otter Tail County, 31% of it is in Becker, and then about 2% of it is located in parts of Clearwater, Monoman, and Clay counties. And one of the things that's unique about this watershed is the fact that we have the White Earth Nation, the tribe owns the upper headwaters portion. That's the hatched out area in the very northern regions of the watershed. In addition to that, we have the Tamarack Wildlife Refuge, and we have two watershed districts. We have the Cormorant Lakes Watershed District as well as the Pelican River Watershed District. And as you know, I see from your emblem behind you, you know that we've got a real variety of land uses within the watershed, and water resources are definitely one of those key resources that are being addressed in the plan. Thank you.
Kind of unique also that part of the watershed is in another watershed.
It is. And do you want to talk a little bit about that? Do we have time or no?
Well, it's just to point out that part of the, down in the Wilkin County, there was part of that that group of people wanted to be in a watershed, so and they're in the Otter Tail watershed, but they felt that they were close enough to the main river that they joined the Buffalo Red watershed, so they are part of Buffalo Red, active watershed, and the Otter Tail doesn't have the taxing capacity where the Buffalo Red does. basically.
Right.
So
And in hindsight, I think that's a blessing for the partners who are part of the Otter Tail One Watershed, One Plan process, because when you take a look at the different ecoregions within the Otter Tail River watershed, you'll see that the very northern parts of the watershed are comprised of the northern lakes and forests. And then the majority throughout the middle portion of the watershed is comprised of the northern central hardwood forests. And then the lower area right above Orwell Dam is comprised of the Red River Valley ecoregion. And that's the same ecoregion that is part of the lower Otter Tail and the Foxholm subwatersheds that are part of the Buffalo Red 1W1P. And as Barry said, they're very different than the land and water related resources that we have throughout the rest of the watershed. So it's going to make things easier for the partners. So as you may recall, approximately a year ago, local governmental entities within the watershed agreed to work together through a memorandum of agreement to develop the plan. And you can see that there are 7 different partners that are identified that were a party to that partnership, including Becker County and Becker SWCD, the 2 watershed districts, Otter Tail County, and then the 2 soil and water conservation districts in Otter Tail County. And together, this group has been working collaboratively together to develop the draft plan. As we move on to the different committees, there are 4 committees that were established under the memorandum of agreement to develop the plan, and those are policy committee. Commissioner Olkeson has been a part of that particular committee. There's been a technical advisory committee that is comprised of the different state agencies and technical partners who are familiar with land and water related resources here in the watershed. A steering committee, which is comprised of Brian, myself, and some other key individuals that really help to guide the process along the way to make sure that we stay on track with planning. And then one of the more important committees is the Citizens Advisory Committee. When this whole partnership was developed, the members identified the importance of getting citizen input and involvement in the planning process. And so this Citizens Advisory Committee is comprised of local stakeholders, which include members from different lake associations, ag producers, and other residents. And these Citizens Advisory Committee members have really helped to lead, guide, and direct the planning process. As you'll see on the next slide here, we had really excellent participation from the public as the plan was being developed. There were 2 public houses, open houses that were held, one here in Detroit Lakes and one in Fergus, of which about 60 people attended. There was also an online survey that was brought forward with 260 responses. And there's a word for this box, and I've been trying to figure out what it is where you have all the different words in it. I'll just call it a word box for now, but those are themes that came about as a result of the public participation and input. And the way this works is that the larger the word, that was something that was more important to the public. It was emphasized more often as compared to the smaller words. So you can see there's a wide variety of themes that came out from the public as they participated in this process. And one of the questions was, what do you feel the top 3 watershed concerns are in the watershed? And you can see there, the top 3 are associated with lake and stream water quality. The citizens are concerned about increased development on the lakes, and they're also concerned about groundwater quality. So as the plan started to take shape, there were 4 primary resource categories that were developed, in which the plan itself addresses tasks. And so you can see the resources that are being addressed include surface water, groundwater, land stewardship, and habitat. And as the committees collectively worked together, they identified a number of different issues that they wanted to focus in on through the planning process and through the plan. Primary issues would be those first priority issues that were identified collectively by the 4 committees. And then the secondary issues were also identified by the committees, but they just weren't as high of a priority there. So you can see there's a broad cross-section of primary issues as well as secondary issues that are included in the plan. So as we went and worked through the planning process, we recognized that there's a really great diversity of resources within our watershed. And some of those resources are in really good shape. They're in really good condition. Some of them are at a point where they're vulnerable, where they could potentially become impaired or contaminated. And then there's those resources out there that already we have some concerns about them. So what we did is we developed 3 primary management focuses within the plan. And you'll see a little bit more on this in a little bit later. But basically, those resources that fall in the protect category are those that are currently in good condition. And it's our goal to continue to maintain those in good condition as we work through the plan. Then we have the management focus category, which is classified as enhance. These would be those nearly impaired or vulnerable water bodies or groundwater related resources where it's not quite to the point where we can call it impaired, but it's close. It might not take, very much to kick it into the restore category, which again, there is those areas that are already identified as having some sort of an impairment, such as phosphorus, could be E. coli, suspended solids. So as part of trying to help people understand, where the different resources fall within those three primary focus areas, we developed a couple different maps. The first map on the left is a groundwater map. And this shows you which areas fall within the enhance, which fall under the primary enhance, the secondary enhance, which are the lighter green colors. And then we also identified vulnerable drinking water source management areas within our watershed. And you can see they are located in and around the Pelican Rapids, Perham, and Battle Lake areas. The map on the right is a map that identifies the priority surface water resources. These would be those lakes and rivers that are located in the planning area. And those that are green would be those that we want to continue to protect because they're in good condition. Those that are kind of that olive green color, a little bit lighter there, those would be those, the enhanced ones. We want to make them better than they already are so they don't get into the impair category. And of course, the orange ones there would be those resources that we're going to focus in on trying to restore. As you know, there's over 1,000 different lakes in the watershed. And so it was important for us to acknowledge and recognize that we can't work on everything. So we're trying to target and manage the related resource issues as best as we can based on the information that we have at hand. So one of the key charges that the committees had was that they needed to come up with some measurable goals. And what we did is we took into consideration the goals that have already been identified from some existing studies, such as the TMDL and RAPS studies. And then we took into consideration the available staff capacity that we have available today, as well as available funding that will come about as a result of the One Watershed, One Plan. And so here are 5 goals that are identified. We have goals specific to phosphorus, sediment, soil health, stream stabilization, and bacteria. And then we also have goals that are identified for, on the next page, groundwater protection, land protection, aquatic connectivity, water retention, and aquatic invasive species prevention and management. And again, these goals are reflective of existing staff capacity and funding. So this table is a really interesting table in that what it does is it helps us to understand the different levels of funding that are available to help us do our work. And the level 1 funding is the current amount of funding that is being made available through all the participating LGUs to help us with water and land related activities in this watershed. So about $2 million is made available annually to help us with this work. Over the 10-year plan, which is what this is, that's $20 million. When this 1W, 1P plan is approved by Bowser at the state level, it's going to bring in another $2.6 million every 2 years. So that's approximately $632,500 a year. So you add that new funding into the plan, and you can see how that benefits our ability to do work in the watershed. And then the other thing that the plan does is that when you have an approved locally adopted plan that's approved by the state, it makes you eligible for other state and federal grants. And so our estimated projection is that having a plan adopted locally and approved by the state will allow us to position ourselves for approximately another $4 million in grants each year, which would be equal to about 40 million above and beyond the dollars that are listed above.
And
So-
those are piggybacked on projects.
Exactly.
And so they're just added in, they're enhancing the dollar amounts that are available for landowners for projects.
Correct. And, the goal with the work that we do is that, of course, we work with people on a voluntary basis. And so our philosophy has always been that we want to try to reduce the landowner's cost or burden for projects as greatly as possible or as much as possible within the policies that are set forward within the grants that we use. So leveraging federal dollars with state dollars and state dollars with federal dollars just really helps us to do more work and to address the resource problems in our watershed. So we did a quick little reflection exercise on, why have we been successful with projects in the watershed in the past? And we really identified that it comes down to really 5 different categories. Number 1 is people. We have capable staff. We have willing landowners that trust working with the local governmental entities. And, we stick to our efforts. We continue to work with people and encourage them to do good things on the landscape. Partnerships. We have had a really good history of good partnerships locally within the watershed. Partnerships between counties, partnerships between soil and water conservation districts, and other LGUs. Funding. The success of what we do is directly connected to funding. Again, you can have all the landowners in the world that want to do work, but if you don't have funding to make projects affordable, it's very difficult to get them on the land. And so we've had a good history of success in getting funding to help landowners do the things that they want to do. The value behind the work and the approach in which we work. Number one, the groups that have been working together, they respect each other. They talk to each other. They listen to what each other has to say. They communicate and share their priorities. The other thing is that we recognize that a lot of this is going to be reflective on the landowner's willingness to participate in these efforts. And then the other thing that we identify as well is that priority versus opportunity. We need to have willing landowners in order for us to address the related resource problems that we have in our watershed. And so working together with all of those partners and landowners is really important. The last item, a couple other items here, resiliency. We talk about resiliency in the plan, and really resiliency is the ability of the ecosystem to experience change and not be affected. As you know, there's a lot of talk and emphasis at the local, state, federal level about this, and we want to make sure that we help people understand how our One Watershed, One Plan will help with resiliency goals. Not only from an ecological standpoint, but also economically for landowners. As landowners make changes from the way they do things to alternative ways that promotes resiliency, there's some risk and there's some costs. And we want to make sure that we have the ability to help them transition into different systems. And then there's the social part of resiliency as well. And including this in the plan will help position us for new state and federal funds above and beyond what we've already talked about to help us develop resilient landscapes in the watershed. So as we move forward with the implementation of our plan, we recognize that we have agricultural lands, and our philosophy is going to be to prioritize, target, and measure our efforts on agricultural lands in those areas that are going to benefit the most for the dollars and staff time that we put forward. For our forested lands, we're going to rely on the prioritize, target, and measuring tools that we have available for our forested areas. We recognize that when you have forested areas, the quality of water that runs off forestry lands is much different than in the ag areas. It has a much less concentration of phosphorus. Phosphorus is what we're worried about for our lakes, right? And so if we can protect these high valuable forested areas within our watershed, keep them forested, we can continue to help protect water quality. We also went through and we identified specific planning regions in the plan. So for example, there's a Pelican River planning region. So for like Brian and some of the other LGUs in the western part of the watershed, they can go directly to that part of the plan and not have to worry about the Otter Tail planning region, for example. It really helps to focus your time and energy on those parts of the plan that make the most sense to you. We talked about the carbon resiliency, and then just to reaffirm, we've been at this process for about a year, and we are at the point now where we're in the 60-day review period. To sum all this up, so at the end of the day, we remind ourselves that we have this shared vision, and this shared vision was developed collaboratively by the citizens and partners as through these different committees. And our vision for the watershed is the natural beauty and diversity of water and land in the Otter Tail watershed is attractive to residents and tourists because of its recreational opportunities, farming, forests, and wildlife. And we strive to sustain this diversity of riches for future generations to enjoy. That is all I have for you at the present time. Brian? Yeah.
Any questions about the draft plan?
Commissioner Okeson, as a policy committee member, do you have anything you want to add or?
No, I've seen the presentation several times and even down at policy when we went through it and
I think it's important to work with the policy committee when you work on plan implementation and projects moving forward. I know sometimes, or at least have that working relationship with Soil and Waters, because they're talking more about, what's needed that year for, county by county. Everyone has their own area to protect and try to get as much projects, but I think that's always gonna be important that you have those projects at the policy committee level discussed to do some selection and then hear the recommendations and then move forward. So
I agree.
we just don't want to get pushed, this is what everyone says, approve it and we can go home. We want to have those discussions.
Yeah, we're just beginning that discussion now. Trying to get our ideas out there as a group with the steering committee. And so we're in the 60-day comment period, review period. That will end now November 29th. And so we'll have planning on having a public hearing December 15th for review of the plan. And then after that goes to the North Region Subcommittee, Bowser North Region Subcommittee presentation beginning of January. Is that January?
Correct, yes. January 4th.
January 4th. And then brought before the Bowser Board the end of January at their monthly meeting.
Do you want these recommendations or these approved today?
They do not have to be approved today. If you do need time to discuss and review them a bit more, you have had, or staff have had them for a few months now already. So
But they're here for us to act on.
right.
We have a resolution.
Yeah, I know I have them, but the way they're talking about the 60-day, I didn't know if it was
Oh.
needed to be after that or during.
No, it's
Yeah.
fine to do it now. Yes.
I'll make a motion to enter into the memorandum of agreement for implementation of the Otter Tail River One Watershed One Plan.
Motion by Barry,
second.
second by John. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you. There's the,
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve 1D.
You just did that.
No, it was
Oh, the memorandum.
MOA.
Okay, a motion by Barry,
Second.
second by John. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Aye. Motion carried.
Thank you very much.
I have to say, Richard, I've thought of you this last couple weeks when we're doing harvesting. Fish and Wildlife is fencing off putting a fence all the way around the lake.
Barbed wire fence?
I don't know, I'm assuming, but I'm like,
No, I'm gonna tell you. Well, this is why I'm against some of the stuff that happens.
but that,
with
I want to
this.
point out, this has nothing to do.
No, and I know it, but
It's,
there's still 600 acres out where I'm from, wrapped in the tightest barbed wire you ever seen. Huge concrete control dikes. Everything that nature did by itself is now, man has changed into something, and it's a big piece of crap now. It was a beautiful place. The pigweeds are this high. So that's why I have this problem.
No different than what you just approved now. Government will
Well-
receive $40 million for a problem that doesn't exist. Mostly, by even looking at the graphs. We're done. Sheriff, you got something else?
Thank you.
Sheriff?
Thanks, Don.
Can I approach?
Huh? Thank you.
We just want to go back to the equipment. So there's more than lights. I just want to clarify that.
yeah, it includes,
And I didn't know if you wanted to mention those other
it
items.
includes lights.
Yes,
And any other.
and other,
Any surplus equipment that the sheriff deems necessary to
yeah,
get rid of.
Okay.
Okay. I was trying to be sensitive.
Just
appreciate that.
Okay.
Or any and all safety.
Safety, rescue, whatever.
Safety equipment.
Yeah, that other first responders can use.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay,
It's
All
a
right,
public entity, so.
thank you.
Thanks, yeah.
Appreciate that.
Chair Richard.
Yeah, we're adjourned.
Don't
Shut that
say
thing
that.
off.
Well, it's not good for one, but it's.
Yeah, that's-